Krista tried to climb forward toward the broken window, but the fire forced her back. By the time Matt reached the back seat, the flames were overwhelming. He could do nothing but watch in horror as his friends perished.
Elon Musk faces backlash. 3 teens trapped in burning Cybertruck. Video by Car Fix Corner. What is going on, man? We haven't spoken too much about Tesla and Elon Musk yet, but things are not looking good, and they seem to keep getting worse.
A devastating crash, 3 young lives lost, and a burning question: could they have been saved? On a quiet November night in Piedmont, California, a Tesla Cybertruck slammed into a wall at high speed. The impact was violent, but the real horror came after. Flames engulfed the vehicle, and the teens inside fought for their lives. A friend tried desperately to pry open the doors. Nothing budged. The electronic locks, designed for efficiency, became a death trap. Now, as grieving families demand answers, Tesla and Elon Musk face a firestorm of outrage. Was this just a tragic accident or a failure of design? It began as—
Man, how y'all feel about the Tesla truck? They're interesting because they're so different looking, but would you ever buy one? Definitely not with the way Elon's been acting as of late. Fuck that. But even before all that, it's a weird flex.
An ordinary drive home. After a night of partying, 19-year-old Soren Dixon took the wheel of his Tesla Cybertruck, heading toward a friend's house just 2 blocks.
Oh yeah, of course he fucking plays lacrosse. Daddy's money. White kid has the classic I'm for sure joining a frat white boy haircut. Plays lacrosse. Daddy bought him a Cybertruck. Crazy.
Blocks away. The road curved sharply, but Soren, speeding far above the limit, couldn't
His name is literally Soren, bro. This kid could not get any more stereotypically rich white kid, grew up in the suburbs in California. His name is Soren. He plays lacrosse. He owns a Cybertruck at 19 years old. Crazy.
React in time. The massive truck veered off Hampton Road, slammed into a concrete retaining wall, and wedged itself between the wall and a tree. The impact was brutal, but it wasn't the crash itself that turned the scene into a nightmare. It was what happened next. Flames erupted from the front of the Cybertruck, quickly spreading through the cabin. Inside, Soren, Jack Nelson, and Krista Sokuhara fought to escape, but the truck's design worked against them. The electronic doors, which required power to open, were unresponsive. Matt Reardon, following behind in
What is that? What kind of design feature is that? They did not account for the possibility of someone being inside and the truck not receiving power for whatever reason. I mean, that seems insane to not put in some kind of emergency latch feature that allows you to open the door manually.
Another vehicle arrived within seconds. He and another witness jumped out and sprinted toward the burning truck. Matt first tried the passenger side door, digging his fingers into the frame to pull it open, but it wouldn't budge. He pressed the exterior buttons. Nothing. Desperation set in. He pounded the window, but it didn't break. He grabbed a tree branch and swung it with all his strength, striking the glass over 10 times before it finally cracked. Pulling out the shattered remains, he reached in and dragged a barely conscious Jordan Miller to safety. Screaming, he turned back for the others. Krista tried to climb forward toward the broken window, but the fire forced her back. By the time Matt reached the back seat, the flames were overwhelming. He could do nothing but watch in horror as his friends perished. A vehicle designed as the future of transportation had become an inescapable furnace. If a car is built with cutting-edge technology, why couldn't its doors be opened in an emergency? As families mourn and the public demands answers, all eyes are now on Tesla and Elon Musk. Was this just the force of the crash that sealed their fate? Or was the Cybertruck's design fatally flawed? A car should protect its passengers. A car should allow an easy escape. But what happens when technology stands in the way? Tesla vehicles, including the Cybertruck, rely on an electronic door mechanism. No traditional handles, just sleek buttons that open the doors with a tap. It's futuristic, it's minimalist, but in a crisis, it can be deadly. These buttons only work if the car has power. In a crash, when the battery is damaged or the system shuts down, the doors can become unresponsive. Trapped inside a burning vehicle, seconds matter.
Just off of this alone, I would never buy a Tesla truck.
But for the victims in the Cybertruck crash, those seconds were stolen. Detroit-based automotive engineer Adam Cook has studied Tesla's door system for years. His take is, it's a beautiful design, but it's impractical in an emergency. He explains that Tesla includes an emergency release system, but there's a catch. The front doors have manual release levers, but they're small, low to the floor, and often overlooked. And the back doors are worse. Passengers must remove a panel to access a hidden emergency cord, a task nearly impossible in a smoke-filled, panic-driven moment.
Yeah.
This isn't the first time Tesla's doors have been at the center of controversy.
That has to be mandatory. If you're going to sell a Tesla truck, you need to walk the customers through every step. How do you open this in the case of an emergency? You don't have to do that with normal cars that are designed in a common sense manner. But if you want a ridiculous bullshit truck like a Tesla truck, then they got to make that mandatory to walk you through every step, because clearly these guys didn't know that this is how you open the door in an emergency.
2019, Omar Awan, a Florida doctor, crashed his Tesla Model S. First responders arrived quickly. The car was on fire, but Awan was alive. He tried to get out. Bystanders tried to help. The electronic doors wouldn't open. The handles, flush with the body, stayed locked in place. Awan burned to death. There's a pattern here, one that raises—
Yeah, nah, you ain't gonna catch me buying a Tesla, bro. What kind of bullshit is that? The car crashes and it becomes your coffin, your death trap? Nah. I'll stick with regular car doors, thank you.
This is an unsettling question. Did Tesla sacrifice safety for style? Elon Musk has long pushed for futuristic designs, but at what cost? Mechanical door handles—
And these cars catch fire so much, it should be mandatory to have a fire extinguisher inside your car. Technically, that's a good idea regardless of whatever car you have, to have a fire extinguisher close by, but definitely, clearly, if you drive a Tesla, you better have one right by your foot, bro.
have existed for over a century. They work. They don't fail when power is lost. Yet Tesla replaced them with technology that could, and has, turned cars into traps. The Cybertruck was marketed as built for anything, but was it built for survival? For years, Tesla has positioned itself as the leader in cutting-edge automotive technology. But behind the innovation lies a troubling—
This is such a stupid looking truck, bro. The more I look at it, the more I hate it.
Pattern, one that raises the question, is Tesla sacrificing safety for speed, style, and software updates? The Cybertruck crash wasn't an isolated incident. It was the latest in a long list of safety concerns tied to Tesla's vehicles. The numbers don't lie. Since its release, the Cybertruck has already faced multiple recalls. The most alarming one is the defective accelerator pedal that could come loose and become lodged, leading
Bro, this is trash.
to unintended acceleration. Drivers reported their pedals getting stuck under the interior trim, making it nearly impossible to slow down.
Oh,
Tesla's
hell
response
nah.
was a fast recall, but only after disturbing videos surfaced of Cybertrucks accelerating out of control. And it's not just the Cybertruck. Tesla has issued recalls across its entire lineup, from the Model S to the Model Y. Issues range from steering malfunctions to sudden power loss.
Yeah, Elon's too busy, you know what I'm saying, gobbling Trump's meat to actually run his company properly.
And in some cases, even spontaneous fires. Yet time and again, Tesla downplays these risks, often resolving them through software updates rather than physical fixes.
Although technically it might be the other way around.
Then there's the drive-by-wire technology, an innovation that replaces traditional mechanical controls with electronic signals. Unlike standard vehicles, where direct mechanical linkages control steering and braking, Tesla's system relies on software. Sounds futuristic, right? But critics argue that without robust redundancies, a single electronic failure could leave a driver completely helpless. Structural concerns add another layer of risk. The Cybertruck's stainless steel body, which gives it its bold, futuristic look, raises serious questions about crash safety. Unlike standard cars that use crumple zones to absorb impact, the Cybertruck's rigid design may transfer more force to passengers in a collision. Experts worry that rather than protecting occupants, it could actually increase the severity of injuries. And guess what? Here's the most controversial part. Tesla largely self-certifies its own safety standards. Unlike traditional automakers that must undergo independent third-party crash tests, Tesla has the power to test and approve its own vehicles under under current federal regulations. This means the company can release new models without rigorous government oversight, essentially policing
Sounds like a terrible idea.
itself. Is that legal? Yes. But is it responsible? That's another question. Because if safety standards don't evolve, if regulators don't step up, how many more lives will be lost before something changes? The tragedy in Piedmont ignited a media storm. Major outlets covered the horrific crash, emphasizing not just the loss of life, but the unsettling details. How the victims were trapped inside the Cybertruck, how the doors failed to open, and how Matt Reardon, their friend, could do nothing but watch. News networks and headlines painted a grim picture. CNN, the New York Times, and The Guardian all questioned whether Tesla's design choices contributed to the deaths. Investigative segments replayed the footage of the burning wreck, while safety experts weighed in on Tesla's electronic door system. The pressure mounted, and as expected, Elon Musk didn't stay silent. He spoke up, but not just in a way people expected. He took to his social network, X, formerly Twitter. He called the media coverage sensationalized and deeply misleading. His frustration was evident. According to the Times of India, Musk dismissed concerns over Cybertruck safety as misinformation, suggesting that critics were unfairly targeting Tesla. He argued,
Nigga, the car turned into a furnace, a death trap. What do you mean misinformation? Where is the misinformation here? Did 3 children, well, calling them children, young adults not die, not perish because they couldn't get out of your poorly constructed sardine can of a truck?
that all vehicles are vulnerable in high-speed crashes and that Tesla's safety ratings remain among the highest in the industry. But the backlash didn't stop. Prominent voices, including automotive experts and former Tesla employees, are calling for deeper investigations. Others point to Musk's history of downplaying safety concerns, from autopilot crashes to battery fires. Yet not everyone was against Tesla. Loyalists rallied to Musk's defense,
of course,
arguing that
it's a fucking cult now. You know what I'm saying? Tesla, being a Tesla boy, it's like a cult. It's kind of like Apple. I think that isn't as in your face anymore. But I remember 10 years ago and going prior to that, being an Apple fanboy was cultish, bro. And so, yeah, I'm not surprised that they're defending Elon and his trucks and all this.
No car is 100% safe and that the media was unfairly attacking him. Some pointed to Tesla's innovations in crash safety and blamed driver error for the accident. Others accused traditional automakers of feeding anti-Tesla narratives. But at its core, the controversy became bigger than just one crash. It became a battle over Tesla's—
Bro, having to remove a panel to access the emergency latch to escape a burning car, that's bad design. I don't care what anybody says. Who is going to, especially because who is typically in the back seat of a car? Not the owner of the truck. And so what happens when an accident occurs and the car or truck catches fire and the driver is knocked unconscious and can't communicate to the person in the back that the only way to escape this death trap is to remove an entire panel that's probably also covered by a floor mat underneath their feet? That's not going to happen. This is terrible.
Philosophy? Was the company being unfairly targeted, or was this a consequence of prioritizing aesthetics and technology over basic safety? The tragic Cybertruck crash didn't just cause outrage, it triggered a legal firestorm. Within days, the National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, announced a formal investigation. Their focus was whether Tesla's electronic door system contributed to the victims' deaths. Officials gathered wreckage data, interviewed witnesses, and examined Cybertruck's software logs. The question loomed: was this an unavoidable accident, or did Tesla's design choices make escape impossible? Meanwhile, legal experts speculated on what could come next. The victims' families are considering lawsuits. Attorneys argue that Tesla knew, or should have known, that its electronic door mechanisms could fail in emergencies. If the company failed to properly disclose this risk, could they be held liable for wrongful death? Some legal analysts even suggested a class action lawsuit if similar cases emerge. But the scrutiny didn't stop there. The Federal Trade Commission, FTC, stepped in, examining whether Tesla's marketing misled consumers about Cybertruck safety. Tesla has long promoted its vehicles as among the safest in the world, but if critical safety mechanisms failed during the crash, could that be considered deceptive advertising? Beyond lawsuits and investigations,
yeah, bro, I'm getting a Chevy truck all day. Chevy, Ford, Dodge, before I get a Tesla truck.
Policymakers are taking notice.
Like, I've been in some real nice Chevy trucks, man. They're real nice.
In Washington, lawmakers and safety advocates are demanding stricter regulations on electronic door systems. Some are pushing for mandatory mechanical overrides in all EVs, fearing that Tesla's design choices set a dangerous precedent. If power loss makes escape impossible, should these designs even be legal? And then, the biggest legal dilemma of all. If Tesla knew about this risk but failed to act, should executives, including Elon Musk, face criminal liability? Could this case become more than just civil lawsuits and turn into something much bigger? For Tesla, the legal battles are just beginning. The Cybertruck tragedy didn't just send shockwaves through the media, it struck at the heart of Tesla's reputation. Right now, public confidence in the company is taking a major—
Yeah, Elon Musk is cooked, bro. He's cooked. I'll explain why he's cooked, and a guy like Trump has been able to survive and thrive all the way up until, what is Trump now, in his late 70s, early 80s? He's incredibly old. I think he's the oldest president to ever live. But I'll explain exactly why Elon is cooked. Tesla is cooked, bro. Comes down to the laws of the universe. We'll dive in.
hit. People are questioning whether Tesla truly prioritizes safety, or if its obsession with innovation comes at too high a cost. Online forums are filled with worried Cybertruck owners asking very touching questions. Would I be able to escape if my vehicle caught fire? What if power fails? Is forceful exit even possible? Even Tesla's stock reflects this growing unease. Following the crash and subsequent safety concerns, Tesla's stock price has seen a noticeable dip. Analysts point to a pattern. Each time a safety controversy arises, investor confidence wavers. While Tesla remains a dominant force in the EV market, repeated safety incidents could erode long-term trust and brand loyalty. For some, the crash hit even closer to home. Former Tesla owners came forward, sharing their own chilling experiences. Some recalled being trapped inside their vehicles due to malfunctioning electronic doors.
Insane.
Others recounted moments of panic when power loss made exits impossible. These stories added weight to the argument that Tesla's design choices may be endangering lives. Meanwhile, the Cybertruck community finds itself at a crossroads. Many early adopters had hailed the vehicle as a revolutionary step forward, but after the crash, some began to rethink their purchase. A growing number of Cybertruck owners expressed concerns over the vehicle's safety, with some even contemplating selling their trucks altogether. And at the center of it all, serious questions are popping up. Are tech-driven car designs improving safety, or are they creating new risks? As traditional safety measures give way to futuristic automation, has innovation gone too far? Regaining consumer trust may prove more difficult than any engineering challenge for Tesla. The Piedmont crash has left Tesla at a critical crossroads. While the company has weathered controversies before, this tragedy raises questions that may not be so easily dismissed. Can Tesla continue pushing the boundaries of automotive innovation without compromising safety? Or has the Cybertruck become the cautionary tale no one expected? Other automakers are watching closely. Tesla's rivals, from legacy manufacturers to up-and-coming EV startups, now face a decision: follow Tesla's lead into radical design choices, or double down on traditional safety measures. Some companies may rethink electronic door mechanisms entirely, while others might use Tesla's missteps to position their own vehicles as safer alternatives. Regulators too may be forced to act. As scrutiny intensifies, new safety regulations could emerge. Lawmakers might push for mandatory mechanical override systems, stricter crash testing standards, or even a reassessment of self-certification policies. If the auto industry doesn't impose—
Yeah, I think we can wrap it up there. I definitely believe that it is incredibly irresponsible to give a car manufacturing company the ability to certify their own cars as being safe for use on the streets. An independent third-party company that's what they do. That's the kind of evaluation that all car companies should be subjected to. And it sounds like most other car companies are. Sounds like Tesla, maybe because of it being an EV company or whatever the case may be, they find themselves in this unique position where they can certify the safety of their own vehicles. This seems incredibly reckless. So there's that going on. Here's why Elon Musk is cooked. Elon Musk is cooked because he is so obsessed with the way the world views him, what people say about him, what people think about him. which means that he is constantly meditating upon all of these negative narratives that are fixated upon him. You see, you will notice that in life, there are certain characters that might be categorized as the bad guy, who, despite being categorized as the bad guy, they continue to win all throughout their lives. I think Donald Trump is a perfect example. And no person is perfect, and the point of this video is not to get too political, so I'm not going to say we're not here to make a judgment of their characters. Personally, I'm not a fan of Elon Musk. But anyway, that aside, what's the difference between a guy like Trump and a guy like Elon? Trump doesn't give a fuck, bro. He really doesn't care at all. People say all kinds of shit about him. He doesn't seem like the person that fixates on those things. He will address it. He'll respond. And we do see instances where he does fixate on certain things like, oh, this media company says this and that about me. But a powerful thing that I believe Trump does, that I do, that I think everybody should do, I've recently started to utilize this technique. I've been doing it now for a few weeks. It is transformative. It is incredibly powerful. Is that you need to remix past events. I'm looking for a specific word. You recontextualize. Essentially, something happens in the past, and the average person, this is what the average person does. Let's say you have a bad interaction with somebody. Over the course of the next few days, people will typically replay that event in their mind, and they'll also tell themselves the worst case scenario of that situation. Oh, this person, they thought I was such a fool. Oh, I really embarrassed myself right there. Oh, what did all those people who saw this think? And they tell themselves these horrible things, and then they also go back through that event and replay it and imagine what they should have done, what they should have said instead to come out on top. Here's what winners do. They tell themselves a completely different story. They actually imagine that situation going in their favor. They imagine, instead of everybody else witnessing that event and thinking negative things about you, they were saying positive things about you. In fact, you might even completely reimagine that whole situation where the way it happened in your imagination is completely different than how it happened in real life. So for instance, and I'm telling you, this is incredibly powerful stuff. And I do believe Donald Trump employs this. I don't know how consciously he does it, but I do it very consciously, and I do it to an extreme degree. And I really encourage you to do it. Why? Because the past doesn't exist outside of your mind, right? These are memories. These are stories we are telling ourselves. Besides it literally being caught in 4K on camera, that's all the past events are. Things happening in your mind, stories that are happening in your mind. And so really the past doesn't matter, but if you are going to engage in the past, why not make it a version that actually benefits you? Right? I'm not telling you to delude yourself, but it truly doesn't matter anyway. And so if you're going to think back on an event, why not tell yourself a version of that event that empowers you? And so that's what I do. I'll give you a real world example. Let's say and this is very useful with even trivial things, but also significant things. Let's say I go ahead and go to the store, and the cashier was rude to me. In the past, I might randomly remember her being rude to me later that day. And in the past, I would engage with it and it would make me irritated. And I might think to myself, what's wrong with this chick, man? What was wrong with this person? And oh, I should have said this or blah, 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 blah. Now I'll reimagine that event and I'll actually tell myself that it went incredibly positive. So I'll just imagine that person being incredibly nice to me. This is a trivial event that really doesn't bear any weight on your life one way or another. This was an insignificant event. But by reimagining that event in a positive light, what I have done is I've taken away all of the fuel to put me in a bad mood. That's a small example of how this technique can be useful, but you can apply it to bigger situations, right? You can apply it to bigger situations. The main goal is to control your emotions, to control the way you feel. That's the whole point of it. I'm not saying that you don't acknowledge mistakes and learn from your mistakes, but so often, how many times do you need to revisit the same event to learn from your mistakes? Usually only once. Usually you can identify what you probably did wrong, what foolish decision you made after reevaluating an event one time. Oh, I should have did this, not that. But humans have the habit of reliving these events 20, 30, a million times. You can't stop thinking about it. Every time you relive it, you're experiencing these negative emotions. But if you made the decision to remix the event in your mind, after you've already identified how things could have gone better, I suppose, I found that it kind of just like quenches it and you don't keep revisiting it. And so Elon Musk, to bring it back around to him, he's clearly someone who cares immensely about what other people think about him. Immensely. I think one of the things that he's done recently, within recent history, that puts that on display is how he lied about being good at a particular video game. I can't remember the name of the video game, but it was one of the most cringe things ever. This man, who is in his 50s? He's in his 50s at least. Just went around lying about this thing. Someone who has all these accomplishments under his belt, literally the richest man in the world. Why lie about something so trivial? It's just, he's so needy for validation and approval from all kinds of people. And because of that, the negative rhetoric and the criticisms that are surrounding him now, they are literally destroying him from the inside. He is so fixated on these things. And that is why I am certain that so long as Elon Musk is at the helm of these various businesses, whether that be Tesla, SpaceX, whatever, because the universe always proves to you what you believe to be true. And so because he's constantly telling himself these negative things, which explains why he reacts the way that he does, and he does these cringe things and complains so much, those things are going to continue to manifest in his life. Now, before you go, there's something I want you to do for me. My dad, yes, my father, Dr. Don C. Hines, PhD. This is my dad. He sits on the board of a hospital. The name of the hospital is Harmony Healthcare, Long Island. And he does it as a way to give back to the community. And this hospital is currently in a competition to win grant money from the government, money that will then be used to give discounts to lower income families who do not have health insurance. All you have to do to help us win this competition is go to this link I have put in the description. It will take you to a website called woobox.com. And you're just going to select this hospital, Harmony Healthcare, Long Island. I'm going to go ahead and select that. And then you enter in your first name, your last name, and a unique email address. So I am just going to enter in one of my email addresses. Now, be assured you will not be contacted and your address will not be saved. Don't worry about junk mail or spam. This is only for the sake of making sure that you are a unique individual. And then you submit your vote. And you can vote every day until March 31st. If you want to help me, help my dad, that would mean a lot to me. I know it will mean a lot to him. So go ahead. It'll only take you, as you can see, literally not even 30 seconds to do. Go ahead. It won't cost you a dime. And there are going to be people who will greatly benefit from your taking this time to do this. All right, guys. Thank you. That's it.